Hey there, Mark Brown. One of the most powerful things you can do is ask.
Anyone can give a presentation. Few deliver unforgettable presentations. What's the difference? You're about to find out. Welcome to the Unforgettable Presentations Podcasts with your hosts, world champion speakers and coaches Mark Brown.
Your life tells a story, and there's someone out there who needs to hear it.
And Darren LaCroix.
Stage time, stage time, stage time.
Ready for some powerful presentation ahas? Let's dive right in.
I'm chuckling, Darren. I can't help myself. We never open a podcast with me laughing, but our topic today is one simple word: ask. And immediately what comes to my mind is a June afternoon in 2001. I'm in New England. I'm doing a keynote speech at a Toastmasters event for what was then called a regional conference. They don't have those anymore. It was like the final level before the World Championship in Toastmasters public speaking. And I was keynote speaker. It was a wonderful event. And I remember I was standing on the platform delivering my speech, and there's all these Toastmasters. There's this one guy, young guy, in the front row. And this guy's got a really nice suit on. His shirt is white, his tie is crisp. He's together. And he's got this notepad in his hand. And I'm talking, and this guy's writing everything down. I'm like, this is the individual who every speaker wants to know and love. And he's there doing this thing. The speech ends, things are going on. And later that day, he comes over to me with a friend of mine. A friend of mine's name is Dave. And Dave says to me, he's a young man I've been working with, he's a contestant, and he wants to ask you something. So this young man asks me, he says, I believe I have a chance to win the contest today. If I win, will you be willing to work with me? Now my mind goes back to see me in the front row. He was literally a sponge. And Dave says, I know him. I says, I have not been to your level, Mark. This kid can do it. And so they both asked. And I didn't think, okay, what's it going to cost? Was I charge him? Is there a fee? I said yes. I said yes. And this guy would drive 2.5 hours from where he was living to come to see me, to work with me, because he asked. And when he asked, and I said yes, he committed to it. For those who are watching and listening for the first time or not, that young man is Darren LaCroix. That's how we met in 2001. He asked, and we have since built a relationship like none other. But had he not asked, he wouldn't have had my help. Not saying I'm the best in the world, but I did help him. He won on his own, and we worked together for 24 years because he decided to ask when many others didn't. Darren, I called you out. I'm going to be quiet now.
Yeah, and if you heard my championship speech, I tell a story of bombing back in the 90s. And I called up my mentor, Rick. I said, Rick, I bombed, I died, they hated me. And Rick said, so? How do you argue it's so? But I called him and I was reaching out because I was asking him, should I quit? Am I not made out for this? And he talked me off the ledge. He told us, Darren, everybody bombs. Wait, what? Everybody bombs? I had no idea. And, Mark, that's one of the reasons we've created Stage Time University as that community for people to ask each other. It's not just about learning from us, but supporting each other, encouraging each other. We have a Stage Time University WhatsApp list where people can, ask for encouragement, ask for confirmation. They're working on their dreams and they're posting what they do. But it is that asking, that power of the community. The community is great, but only if you ask. NSA is a community.
Yes.
But only if you ask. It is us, the asker, really brings the value by, asking. And Mark, go ahead.
Some people, though, Darren, are afraid to ask. And I've never asked you this question in over 24 years. Were you concerned I might say, well, I'm too busy, I've got too much going on? I might say no, or you don't remember?
You're Mark frickin' Brown.
Ah,
You said no, I mean, there might have been a little bit of trepidation, but I think I was just on such a mission that I didn't want the regret of not.
because if you didn't ask, the answer is guaranteed no. And I saw the fire. Honestly, friends, it's not a love fest here, but okay, but I saw the fire in Darren's eyes. I saw his drive. And when Dave, our mutual friend, who had known, told me that this young man has it, I was intrigued. And I was honored that he would ask me. And there are individuals who are afraid to ask because they may feel intimidated. And I'm kind of honored. I asked Mark LeBlanc a couple of questions and he wants to invest his time in me. What? Somebody's grades? Because I asked. And here's what I learned. I learned when you ask with an honest heart, with genuine intentions, not so much to use the person you're asking, but when you ask with genuine respect and you honor the person you ask, they're going to see it. And chances are, if they're available, they'll say yes. And sometimes they'll say no, they're not available. But I have found, in my experience, individuals are more willing to respond to the ask if the ask is genuine, it's honest, respectful, and humble, with a genuine desire to learn, to genuinely be a sponge. I could see Darren was a sponge from go. He was in the front row writing everything down. I knew he was eager to learn. And that means he was coachable. And if you're gonna ask, you better ask and be coachable. Because Darren and I both have people who asked us, we said yes, and it was disastrous. They did nothing we told them, and then they say it didn't work. I'm not gonna go there, but trust me, if you ask humbly and are coachable, it can go a long way.
Yeah, you become a mentor magnet.
Ooh, I like that.
Mentor magnet. If you ask, and Mark, write down those for the show notes of what you just said. It's got to be humble. It's got to be sincere. Whatever you said, brilliant. Capture that. I had something happen recently where I upset an event planner. And if you know me, that does not happen often. I always want to be the favorite. But it was such a high level event that I had to. I called Jennifer Lear. I called Maureen Zapala. I called Marilyn Sherman. I just needed a perspective. And so I was definitely calling in humility. I was definitely calling for all of the above because I needed help. I didn't know how to respond. So I asked Ford's sakes. He gave me some great advice on how to handle the situation. I don't want to get into the situation, but it was after 30 years, it was a brand new situation I did not know how to handle. So it's irrelevant what it is, but the answer was in the asking.
The answer is in the asking.
The answer is in the asking. And then I mentioned calling Rick Siegel my mentor. Mark, I don't know if you know this story, but those of you who know Alan Weiss, he was one of the quote unquote rock stars of the NSA New England chapter when I started. And I was such a quiet, shy, introvert, eager wannabe that he offered to take people to lunch back in the day. I don't know if he still does or not, but he offered that, hey, you take me to lunch and you can ask me anything. Now, if you don't know Alan, he can be quite intimidating, and he does not sugarcoat anything.
He's direct.
That's it, but that's his value. That's you're going to get a direct answer. So Mark, I don't know if you know this story. I was so intimidated by him that I wrote down every question I had, and I committed to myself that I would ask every question. But I wrote them down because in the energy and the motion of nervousness or intimidation, you might not remember all of them. And I took a page from Dave Fitzgerald's playbook, one of my friends and mentors, who he used the principle of writing down every question, going in to talk to a doctor. because he had been diagnosed with cancer. And he said, when there's something about the white coat and being in the doctor's office that changes your confidence. And he said, I wrote down every question I had, and I was going to ask every question. And so that's where I got the idea from. And I applied it to an Alan Weiss luncheon. If you don't know Alan, he's amazing. 40 books from McGraw-Hill and just incredible. Especially, and for the record, I would still be intimidated taking him to lunch. But I have way more confidence than I would have back then. And Mark, here's what he said. You are the most prepared that I've ever had lunch with. In that type of setting where he offers it. And just because I was intimidated, that's why I was prepared. But he also said a lot of people take him to lunch and they're trying to sell him on how great they are, which Mark goes back to they're trying to do business with him or something, or get their his seal of approval or whatever they wanted. So if you want to be a mentor magnet, you've got to go in with humility. You've got to go in with sincerity, because guess what? The mentors, the people in your community have heard it all before. You're not the first person to ask something like this. Yeah. So they can tell usually the intent of the asking.
Yeah. What I'm hearing, Darren, what I'm hearing you say is this, bluntly: respect their time and expertise. Respect their time and expertise. And Darren respected Alan enough to write down all the questions. He knew we had a window of time. Darren didn't want to waste that man's time. And we're going to ask, yes, you're asking because you want something, obviously, but respect their time. It's fun, Darren, you mentioned that. The first time I was on a phone call with Michael Haig. Now, Michael Haig is the story guru, the story master. His company is called Story Mastery. He has worked with us here at Stage Time before. Brilliant. He has been a script consultant to Hollywood movie stars. He knows stories. And the first time I got on a phone call with Michael Haig, I was watching the clock. I'm like, Michael, I know listen, I'm a world champion speaker. I'm a CSP certified speaking professional with the National Speakers Association. I mentor other speakers, but this man, Will Smith, got this guy on speed dial. So I said, I got 45 minutes. And I said to Michael, I want to value your time. I was humble. And I said, Mark, it's okay. I know how much time I have, and I understand where you're coming from. Please go ahead, ask your question. Because to me, this guy is in the big leagues. I'm just Mark. But I knew who he was, and I respected it. And over the years, we've built a wonderful friendship. But I had to respect his time, his knowledge and expertise, not go off on a tangent somewhere and talk about me. He was willing to share his insight with me. And I still, to this day, value every minute I get to spend with Michael Haig. You got to respect their time, as Darren did, and come prepared. Don't just wing it and hope to talk about the birds or the coffee. Respect their time because they've earned it.
Yeah. Reiterating the intent behind the ask is the important part. Your intent behind the ask. And I created this little idea, Mark. I know Michael Davis talks about it because I used it on him. It's called the Get the Book Test. People would come to me asking how to be funnier. What do I do? And I would give them a little bit of my time, but then I would say, you need to go get the book by Judy Carter, Stand Up Comedy, the book. And here's the key. And here's what I did with Alan. I promised myself I would not ask him another question until I did everything he told me I needed to do. That's respect. And so people would come back to me, well, hey, I got this story. Would you just take 5 minutes to listen to this story? You don't want 5 minutes. You want the 30 years of experience that's got 25 minutes to give you. It's not the 5 minutes, just to be clear. And so then I'll ask them, did you get the book? Well, no. Well, guess what? If you didn't get the book and you didn't read it, you're not going to do anything else that I suggest that's going to be way harder. If you can't jump on Amazon and get a book for $12 or whatever it is, and then you don't actually have the time to read it, you're not respecting my time. and you're not willing to be uncomfortable, because anytime you want to grow, there's going to be some uncomfortability.
Discomfort is fine. We can say discomfort. Yeah. The term growing pains is not a fallacy. The term growing pains is for real. Young men, remember your awkward teenage years where your body began to sprout up, your voice began to get kind of squeaky, and your arms are all awkward? Yeah. That's part of the growth process. And sometimes in speaking, we're going to have the squeaky voice when we ask the question. We're going to have the awkward arms when we don't quite do it right. It's all part of the growth process. But just as your body continues to grow, may we as presenters continue to grow as well in our expertise, in our relationships, in our communication, in our collaborations. And Darren, you're saying it's so true. When someone says yes and gives you an instruction, follow through. That's called being coachable. I will not forget one individual who would happen to be a Toastmaster who was competing, asked for some help, and I will confess reluctantly agreed, and I understand now why I was reluctant. Invested some time giving guidance. This is great. Yes, good. I'll put it in. And they had a new script, and it was wonderful. And they got to their contest, and I sat there. My wife had been through the journey with me. And we sat there watching this Toastmasters semifinal speech, and everything that we agreed that the person would do, at the last minute they chose to toss it out. Went back to the old version, and needless to say, did not win a trophy. We did not advance to the final, and they were upset almost to the point of tears. What do I say in a case like that? I didn't want to say I told you so. I tried my best to comfort them and encourage them to try again the following year. That was maybe 6 years ago. I have not seen them since. But these things happen. These things happen. You know, when David Brooks came to me and I asked, when he needed to help me, and I asked him questions, and he'd give me answers, and he'd say, well, go and do this. I work on it, come back, and I had more questions. If you look at my copy of my scripts that I sent to him, I had 20, 25 questions after I did what he told me to do. And over time, my questions became statements. I began to state and declare and explain why I made a decision. And eventually, with his help, I won that speech contest 30 years ago. But I went through a growth process because, one, I asked, well, he offered, and I asked him. And Darren knows a story. He offered it to 8 people. I said, yes. Darren, I said, yes, will you help me? He said, yes. And with all that process of me I kept asking questions. Over time, my growth resulted because I kept asking, and he saw where I was being willing to do what he said. And I, to this day, still call David Brooks the master mentor, because literally from that one ask, what he has helped me to do and guide me to do, I'm now in many ways like him, where people are asking me, as Darren did. But the process of your own growth, if you are willing to do what the mentor says, can be phenomenal. That's why I said you have to be coachable about this. So anyway.
And here's a word of caution. If they answer no, or they don't answer, don't take it personally. If you're talking to somebody who's famous or famous in a world or an industry, as Mark and I are, I get asked a lot to do a testimonial for a book.
Yeah.
A, I'm not comfortable doing a testimonial without reading. And B, exactly. I'm dyslexic. I don't even like to read. I listen to audibles. So it is very rare. Hey, ask. But chances are I'm going to say no. And it's not anything personal. It's the fact that you're asking me to commit a whole boatload of time to read something. I have books that I bought on my nightstand that I haven't read. So it's not personal. It's just, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So, but again, it's not personal. So you can't take no, you can't take anything personal when you ask. The answer is the answer. And people who are famous or mentors or something in a certain industry, that's why we have stage time. Some people can't afford our coaching one-on-one. So we created this way that they can get direct feedback from 2 world champions or 2 world-class coaches without investing $2,500,
or more.
We created a way to do that. But don't take it personally. It's your job to ask, and it's your job not to take the answer personally. And if you ask, you might get a tough answer. Nothing Alan Weiss told me to do was easy. But his intention was great. It was based on my growth and what I was trying to do. So if we want to grow, we can't expect that it's just going to be pat on the head, pat on the back, that a boy, at a girl type of thing. So, Mark.
Yeah, and one more point. I don't want to leave this unsaid about getting a no. Yes, it is also possible you will get a no. As Darren says, don't take it personally. And sometimes the no may come with, I know someone who might be able to help. In our case, that's one of the first someone's is Stage Time University. Or if you can refer, if they can refer someone who they believe can help, they will. There is an individual who approached me several years ago who was in a speech contest for Toastmasters, and they wanted to get some help. And they were asking everyone they were really asking around. I asked, I think, 3 or 4 of us. And I realized that they had been doing that, not maliciously. They were really eager to get as much help as they could. It was all innocent. It was all genuine. It wasn't trying to use us. The individual really wanted to get as much help as they could. I realized that they knew one of us better than the rest of us. And I said, listen, I can tell you're trying to get help in many, many places. I recommend to you, ask this one individual. You know them better. And if you have that one coach, chances are they'll help you to focus directly, because you may get conflicting ideas from 4 people who have all won the trophy.
Yep.
And they said, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate that. A couple months later, I found out they did go to that one individual and they focused their attention, asked questions, got answers, got clear direction, and they still talk to this day about a specific idea that individual gave them. And they went on to win the Toastmasters World Championship. And I felt good saying no under that circumstance. So it wasn't a personally, I'm going to tell you no, but my no was to their benefit. And I'm really happy for them. And now we get along very, very well. We talk all the time. And they're one of our world champion family. But that no was not malicious. That no was not meant to hurt. That no was not taken personally. But the no was accompanied by, here's a recommendation. So there's 2 thoughts here. One, if you find yourself being asked by someone and your answer must be no, at least do your best to offer them an alternative. And if you ask someone and they say no, you could say, well, listen, I appreciate that. Could you recommend someone else? Humbly, respectfully, and you may find out the recommendation is a better fit for you because you saw the person's accomplishment, but you hadn't gotten into the characteristics, compatibility, and all of that yet. So don't abandon it. Don't be put down by it. See if it could be for your benefit and for your good. And I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, you could refer another person or a resource.
Resource, correct.
There's a specific book that might be helpful that maybe you read and you found helpful or was recommended to you. So wrapping this up, ask.
Yep.
Ask. And if you wanted Mark or my advice on putting together a presentation, join us for the upcoming event, Unforgettable Presentations. It's going to be in December. What are the dates, Mark?
December 3, 4, and 5, virtual. December 3, 4, 5.
And we're going to literally hold your hand and walk you through our 7-step process. So if you want me to hold your hand and do that one-on-one, I'm going to say no. But I would refer you to this resource because it's a very affordable way, rather than one-on-one coaching, to work with us directly and get both of our perspectives and hold your hand as you create your unforgettable presentation. Mark Brown, final thoughts.
Listen, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. Ask, you may get a coach, a mentor, or ask for a resource. In any event, ask. You just might get the answer you need. We'll see you next week.
After decades of coaching, we know that the biggest challenge most presenters face is not getting the quality of feedback they need to be unforgettable. If you're serious about receiving world-class feedback to become unforgettable, you can get 2-on-1 or 1-on-1 coaching from us by visiting getaspeakingcoach.com. You can also join us for ongoing training to elevate your skills at stagetimeuniversity.com, where we help good presenters become unforgettable.
Remember to subscribe, because if you miss a week, you miss a lot.
If you're going to take the time to prepare a presentation, make it unforgettable.
And thank goodness for Darren and Mark. I couldn't have done it without them. They're your partners the whole way. They go above and beyond.
It was so good to be coached by Darren and Mark. So having these two coach me elevated my delivery and elevated the power of my story.
It's been really, really amazing to go through this process with Darren and Mark. For me, I had never done anything like this, and the entire process was really, really amazing.
Thank you, Darren and Mark.
It was powerful. Whether you're a keynote speaker, emerging executive, or a seasoned pro, duo coaching will make you unforgettable.